Woo-wee.
Now time for the list, and it's brought to you by, as you just heard, the Allure Group.
There's no really
Allure.
We can't it's not like there's no what do we say? Allure.
Allure. That they might have a problem.
Doesn't feel as good.
In honor of the 25th anniversary, and don't forget, I'm going to be doing the show with Michael 1 to 3 on Thursday, September 3rd, the actual 25th anniversary of the radio station. I've been doing lists celebrating those 25 years.
What do we got today?
I worked on this one hard, and I can go a pretty long list, 25 years.
Can.
The top 5 moments that defined ESPN New York.
Oh, my God.
Defined?
Now,
Forget it.
this is not, the helmet catch. No, this isn't a sports moment. I'm thinking things that happened here.
On the show.
That defined what we are as a radio station today. That we made it through 25 years. That things would have been different had these things not happened. The significance of all of it. Any guesses? Any shot?
I hope the debut of Han and Humpty is on this list, because without it,
well, you know what?
I dragged
You
Rick
thought about it.
out of his basement, put him on the air, and he's become a star.
You know what?
It's not a bad take.
I was going to put on
You can't change
the
that
list
because the guy who's part of suggesting.
No, I got it written down.
All right,
I got it written down as number 4, and that's mornings. When we started in 2001, Mike and Mike really drove this radio station. Even financially, it drove our radio station because they had been on 1050 a year before we launched. And it was one of the biggest shows in the country at the time, Mike and Mike in the morning. But as time went on, and especially after Mike and Mike broke up, we worked our tail off to convince the network to allow us to have a morning show. To have a local morning show and have a local afternoon show was such a major coup for us.
Yep.
Had to have local in both drive times. So I put it at number 4, and we couldn't do that without Dave Rothenberg and Rick DiPietro. And the story, Alan, you tell it, why Rick DiPietro's even here.
Yeah, I dragged him out of his basement and told him you should be on Sports Talk Radio, because when I would do shows by myself, he listened, and he would text me all the time his takes on things. And I finally was like, dude, call. Like, enough telling me what you think. Get on the air and do this. And he didn't want to do it. And then one day we were at a golf outing together, and I said, I've got a show tonight. Just come with me. And he was supposed to only do one segment. He stayed on the whole show, and he loved it. And I'm like, you want to come back tomorrow? He's like, can I? He did it for free for like a couple of weeks. And I said, just keep coming back till they tell you can't. And no one ever told him not to come back.
And then they end up doing a show together, and then Rick becomes available in the mornings, and the rest is history. Yeah. RJ Santillo.
I think he's become one of the top hosts we have in New York.
Yeah, and that really has worked. His chemistry with Dave is terrific.
So you labeled it though morning.
Yeah, I didn't specifically have the hiring of Rick. It's just that we were able to put together finally a local morning show. And I was talking with RJ Santillo, who's the producer. We didn't get there till 2001. We were 20 years old as a radio station. But we finally were able to do it. It originally started as 5 to 8, and then in 2023 it went to 6 to 10.
That is a lot. Now, see, now that you're adding the context to it, to be attempting to do radio and win without a local morning show for the first 20 years. For the record, just so to be clear, most stations in New York, syndicated in New York isn't usually a thing. New York is too much of its own operation. You can't syndicate.
You just don't do that.
So the fact that we even managed some of the other things we did in that period with respect to the national shows, it's just not the same as having a local show.
Rick and I, one of the time we had like 3 different time slots when we were doing our shows midday, and one of them that was designed to help with the morning thing was we did 10 a.m.
Right.
We did 10 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it was to just kind of like create at least an audience in the morning that
the early part of the day
could lead to your show.
We slowly built, but still, like to Peter's point, to be taken seriously as a radio station.
Yeah.
And to go up against, Imus in the Morning and Howard Stern in New York, these behemoths, to have a syndicated national show to where they're not talking about the Yankee loss to the Astros the night before or talking about the Jets or Giants loss on Sunday, talking about the national story. Yeah, the Knicks would have been talked about when they won the championship. Yeah, the Giants would have been talked about when they won the Super Bowl. But to have that local show, I can't even think of what our station would be without having Rick and Dave in the morning. I think that was pretty significant.
And not for 20 years. Pretty crazy.
And I have that as number 4.
All right, number 4.
Any other turning points?
How about the Yes Network?
Yeah.
The Yes Network I have at number 5. And leading
the Pepsi
into
went in the garbage can.
And
it's Diet Coke to you.
And leading our
Coke,
yes, there's believe me, if it was a Pepsi, it would have been nothing.
Yeah,
the fact that it was a Diet Coke was everything. Yes, and now leading into MSG that kind of coincide with each other. The simulcast, the Michael Kay show going on. Yes, to me was a huge turning point for our afternoon drive show. To be able to be taken seriously, to be on the Yes Network, being on every day before Yankee games. It grew our audience, and we probably still won a ton of people that even after Yes left. And I can't wait to get them back when we go on MSG, too, for the people who stayed home and aren't savvy with the computer to go on YouTube or the app to be able to begin watching us again. But just to be simulcasted, that's when, Peter, we were starting to get recognized. It's tough for radio personalities to get recognized. Maybe now with the web, they can look up and see what you look like, but to be able to all of a sudden be on television, especially a network like that, and now going to MSG, I thought it was a pretty significant moment, and I have it at number 5. It was big for the K show, but I thought it was big for the whole relevance
visibility
of the radio
station
No,
overall.
It's a big deal.
How about the FM stick?
Oh, Peter. Now we're on the same vibe. I think it's number 1.
You touched a nerve.
Because we would not be here today if we stayed on 1050. And that's no shade at 1050, but the signal was not that great. We were able to go and to 880 AM because we were able to establish ourselves by how much we grew going to the FM stick. Going to 98.7 elevated the listenership, made us a destination. On 1050, we were so limited on our exposure because this was before there were apps. This was before people were consuming on the internet and streaming and all that. And 1050, we were limited in our growth. And 98.7 opened the doors to so many other people. And then when you coupled that with number 5 with Yes, we won over a lot of people. And then once the FM stick and Yes went away, those people were able to stick around because now, in came YouTube and we went to 880 and people were able to find us. They couldn't find us. We started as a radio station. We had such a limited signal that we were just not able to get that audience. And I think if we had stayed on 1050, I think we eventually would have fizzled out. Going on the FM stick when we did, and that was back in, trying to get the exact date. It was like 2010, I want to say. That elevated us. I remember Justin Craig, who was our program director at the time, and I kind of took it as an insult, but now that I've grown, it was more of a compliment. He said to me, the station begins now. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I just worked my tail off for a decade at this station. You tell me nothing matters.
Nothing matters. All set up.
What he went to say is that now all the work that you've done, now you're going to get the exposure you're looking for because we're finally on the FM stick. And even though we're still not there, we're able to gain that audience because of the FM stick. I'm telling you, if we stayed on 1050, it all would have went away sometime in the early 2010s, and we probably wouldn't be on right now doing all the things that we're doing. That's why I think it's number 1. It was a major, significant moment in the history of this radio station.
All right, so you're missing 2.
All right, so I've got 1. I've got 4 and 5, so we just need 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
There's nuance to 2, but if after you hear, you're not going to get it. You might not even know it. But to me, it belongs at number 2. And number 3 is pretty obvious, especially to Alan.
Obvious to me.
Yes, it was the hiring of Alan Hahn that finally put us. No, it's
At least one guy clapped.
Look, Harvey's disgusted with you, Alan.
What do you mean?
Obvious.
He clapped.
Out of disgust.
Look at the hat he's wearing today. Feels like a protest.
We called it the Oscar gamble.
That's funny.
You know what that is? That's being a good teammate.
That's you. That just
That's an
was
example of
So
this.
what's number 2 that we
All
wouldn't
right.
even realize?
No, 3.
3.
Well, 3
one that we
is-
wouldn't know.
No, 2 you wouldn't know.
Oh.
3 you should know.
Okay. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to give it to you because
We don't know what you're talking about.
there's a density I can't cut through.
What?
Signing up with MSG, Knicks, Rangers. Come on. That was big time.
Landing
Big
them
time to be
as-
able to have that daily
I
programming
didn't
from
even think.
October to April. And we don't have last year. Come on. It hits completely different if we're celebrating a Knicks championship that the fans airing.
I wasn't even thinking
or
of
Q104 is
that type of thing.
airing.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Rangers run in 2014. And listen, I'm
last
not
4
I'm not
years.
doing Devil games if it wasn't for that, because I don't think I'd be getting a chance to do Ranger games if we didn't have the relationship with MSG. And the fact that we've got, Alan, the fact we're on MSG coming up on September 8th.
So it's a great take by you.
But
Very
really,
good.
it put us on the map because the Jets were great, but that's Sunday programming. But to have the daily leading into Knicks and Rangers, an original 6 team on the hockey side, one of the most popular teams in basketball on the NBA side, on our air, was so significant. That relationship and the times we had, and hopefully we'll have again in the suite and all that. It's number 3. It is
That's a big deal.
significant. Our
And it
relationship was
and this
really
year
good
it
with
really. But this has been a big year for that.
Yeah.
In fact, the last 3 months has been a really huge deal for that.
Yeah, and just I still think there's more to come.
Oh,
You think about the start of this coming season is going to be a huge bump.
But Peter,
there, too. So that's very good.
I just explained.
Very
We
good.
made that deal with MSG when we were still on 1050. So I just told you the limitations we had being on 1050 with the signal.
Right.
But to be able to land the Knicks and the Rangers and what came, the promotion inside the building, the promotion on the MSG network, that was such a help to us. And then to get on the FM stick, that just was the cherry on top. But the relationship with MSG really, really put us on the map. I thought that was a pretty significant moment. Number 2, and you can make the case it's number 1, was not signing John McEnroe to do an afternoon show with Michael Kay.
Interesting.
And the reason I have it on the list is how everything changes. The original plan by Tim McCarthy and the powers that be at ESPN was we were going to start this radio station, and our one local show was going to be in the afternoon with John McEnroe, not Patrick McEnroe, John McEnroe, and Michael Kay. And in the infancy of the radio station, the 8 days before 9/11 and then right after, was trying to get John to sign a contract. Erica Herskowitz was one of the original hires of the station. Myself, Erica Herskowitz, and Don Gould were the 3 full-time anchors, and I was the night anchor. Don Gould was the morning, and Erica was the afternoon, because Tim's plan was he wanted a woman on that show doing updates. So that was the plan. And that's what the station was going to be. I remember they did a spec show that didn't air. All the luminaries were down from Bristol watching and seeing the show, and they could never get John signed. And I've talked to people before and after. I don't believe in my heart that show would have worked. I don't think John McEnroe, as great a guy as he is, would have been committed to the grind of 4 hours of radio every day. And also the commitment that at the time Michael would make, because if you remember, he just joined the Yes Network. So whoever was going to be doing the show with Michael was going to have to pick up a lot of slack when Michael had Yankee games. John McEnroe wasn't going to do that. I don't think that show would have worked. And if that show didn't work, maybe Michael walks. Right? Michael had done shows on ABC, had done sports radio on ABC a little bit, but if that had crashed and burned, Michael would be like, I'm just going to focus on the Yankees, and he's gone. There might not be any Michael Kay show.
Which there would have been nothing then to build around in the first many years of the station.
And then so it never materialized. They decided to focus on Michael. Michael wasn't going to do afternoon drive at that particular time. So the decision was made he would just do 10-1. And because Michael wouldn't be there, the decision was made all the time because of day games and travel and all that. They wanted somebody with a little bit more of hosting experience, so I shifted to afternoons with Erica. And then the Michael Kay Show was born. And then we eventually moved to Afternoon Drive, and the rest is history, for better or worse. None of that happens if they hire John Mack. I stay at night. I might have left. I'm not here. I could tell you right now I'm not here. Michael may not be here unless the show worked. And if the show worked, who knows what direction ESPN New York would have been.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be better, maybe worse. Everything. You're not here.
It's
Peter's
a
not
turning
here.
point moment. It's a critical turning point moment.
Everything that happened was because John didn't sign.
Right.
If they had invested money, Alan, in John McEnroe, he wouldn't have come for free.
Right.
You think that there would have been room to add more local shows, or would the focus have just been on that show and everything around it?
I also wonder, how do you think he would have been? Because he hasn't done it since. It's not like
he never did it.
Right. That's what I mean. No, it's not like he ever. All right, that didn't work out, but he ended up going somewhere else, and he did great. He's a really good tennis analyst. He's an entertaining guy whenever he's a guest anywhere.
Right.
But it's never been so. He is a sports fan.
No, I've done shows with him, and I will tell you. I mean, it was crazy, the shows that we did. But he knows. He's a big Knick fan, big Ranger fan. I think he's a big Met fan. Obviously, he knows his tennis. But what guys like John McEnroe don't know, and a lot of people don't know, and I'm not trying to say what we do here is brain surgery. It's not. But if you're not all in, this will eat you alive. 4 hours of radio, it's not just showing up and just being John McEnroe and telling stories and all that. That'll get you through the first couple of weeks, but then eventually, there's a lot of work that goes into it. You got to be completely 100% committed.
That's a very interesting and good take. Sometimes it's sometimes it's the thing that doesn't happen.
Right.
That is the biggest thing.
Well, it once again is the domino effect of all these things, right? And so the domino effect of not going in that direction led to this.
And
you make one change in history, then sometimes you could say, well, none of us are here now.
And also, the fact that it was an athlete and it didn't end up happening, when we know that there's a fascination with the athlete. We got to get the athlete on
ESPN,
here. Yes, we got to get the athlete on.
Yeah.
And it ended up not happening.
It really is the opposite. What I thought for a while, what separated us from the other station is that we have people who actually, like boots on the ground thing, who've been in the room. Think about it. Every show, there's somebody that's been in the room, that's done something at the professional level in or around these sports, that has that kind of firsthand experience that isn't typical a lot of times of a lot of different sports talk places. And it doesn't always work when you have people like that.
And sometimes it does, and you got to be committed. That's why I have a lot of respect for Rick DiPietro. I have a lot of respect for Boomer Esiason. I have a lot of respect for Tiki Barber, guys that have been able to go into sports radio and stick and do well. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of former athletes that think, I just got to show up, tell some stories, and just be me. Mm-hmm. And then, all right, that gets you through the first segment, and you look up at the clock and go, oh, I got 12 more of these I got to do? And, they would have hooked them up with a professional like Michael Kay. But, again, Michael Kay couldn't be fully committed. Even doing 10 to 1, there were day games he couldn't be there, times he got stuck and had to travel, do shows from the road. And that always put a lot of more pressure on whoever was doing a show with Michael. A lot of times me, would John be able to handle that? Mm-hmm. And again, I like John. I've done shows with John. He's terrific. But to build a radio station around him, I believe, and I thought at the time, would have been a huge mistake. And the whole thing could have blown up.
Well, and I think you can trace it all the way back to your success here.
I'm telling you, I'm not here. Because I stay on at night doing my updates.
Yeah.
And your little yo-yo updates.
And I'm sure at some point I might have gone back to the Fan because I wanted to host, and I don't know if that opportunity would have presented itself if they were all focused there. And then I got moved on with Michael, and I credit Michael, and we'll do that show coming up Thursday from 1 to 3, and we'll probably talk about how, if Michael had your typical superstar ego, maybe I never get a chance to do any of that. But none of this happens. There's no Wally and the Keeg. There's no nothing. It would have just all been focused there. And who knows? Maybe ESPN's appetite, if it ended up crashing and burning, would have been, I guess this is not going to work.
No.
All right, let's move on to something else, and then we're gone completely. So
great call.
You could make the case it's number one, but it's definitely belongs in the top 5. So throw it out there. So you guys good?
Good list.